Some of the other baits I'll show you. Let's see. Now let me go back to the color. We start looking at colors. These are two things that will go with me on every tournament or every fun fishing day on the lake or the river. These things right here are absolutely awesome because I can take any color of bait and change its color, its presentation, and I can also add some garlic. These are garlic sticks. Okay, I mean they're great. Red. If you find forage in the water that's got a little red in it, I can change that color and put a little red on it. I can put chartreuse. You can't go wrong with that color right there, chartreuse. You can't go wrong with that color right there. This part of the country, on the river and or the lakes, you take any bait you got and just put a little bit on that tail, a little bit on those into those crawl legs, and I'm telling you, that can increase your presentation and the look that the bass is going to see when you're fishing it. Plus, if you have a little stained water or it's not as clear as you're accustomed to, adds a little more color to it. It's bright, fish can see it. Plus, it's got a little garlic in it. A lot of people swear by different types of scents or bait attractors. I think it holds the bait in the fish's mouth long enough for you to feel it and hook the actual fish. Now, I'm going to talk to you about kind of a phenomenon that's been going on this year. I don't know what they call it. I call it basset or finicky bass eat. I'll talk about that here in a minute. And this is something that I use to help those finicky bass hold that bait in their mouth long enough that I can really feel that bite and set the hook. How many times have you had a bass pick up the tail of the worm or the bait and swim off with it? And you set the hook, but guess what? You bring your bait in and all the way up to the hook, the bait's gone, except for what's right there at the hook. Because all they did was bite down on it, and they swam off. They just suck it in, they hold on, and they swim off. And you may not feel it until they actually move. Then you're like, oh, I got a fish on there. So wham, you set the hook, too late. It was in the mouth too long, and you didn't catch it. Okay? These things will help kind of hold that. I think, I'm not a biologist, but I've been told by people that have been in this business a long time, and I've seen it. I can literally tell you I've probably had fish that I've caught simply because they kept it in their mouth longer because of the garlic. And you can do this on the river too. I mean, how many of y'all have seen those coffee-scented baits, coffee baits? They sell them at Bass Pro, they sell them at Walmart. I mean, I think you can get them at Walmart now. You can get the coffee-scented baits. You know, and of course, power bait. We're all familiar with power bait. Berkeley power bait's been around for years. What do you think? You know, that fish gets that in their mouth, and it gives them that one little extra second to think about spitting it out or you setting a hook. So that might take that 1 second that actually helps you. All right, so we went over the shaky head finesse type. Let's go over some different types of tubes. All right. Another great technique. Oh, look at you. I almost stepped on you. You don't want to get you hurt. All right, so different types of baits that I use different brands. I'm not exclusive to one, I'll tell you that right now. Every bait company out there makes a bait that you might find a custom or work better than others. Now, I know that there are some guys that will say, I'm only a Zoom guy, or I'm only a Strike King guy. Okay, great. I like using a little bit of everything because I can do different presentations with different types of baits. Sometimes, you know, you've heard this before in the past about confidence baits, right? Everybody in this crowd of fishes has a bait that they catch more fish on and they're more comfortable fishing probably all year round. Am I correct? Everybody's probably got that one bait you like better than another. Those are your confidence baits because you're good at it. You feel good with those baits. You just have fun with it. You catch fish. It makes you build your confidence. Well, anglers that fish tournaments for money, we also like those baits. And I'll tell you, this is one, I actually had this one on the Gasconade, and these are some of the ones we actually caught better fish on the Gasconade. The power baits, it's actually in a package of a chigger crawl because the tubes that I was using were in a Ziploc bag I had specially made by a guy. Okay, this tube right here is called a puke color. This is called puke. It's a cross between green pumpkin and, well, I guess puke. Let's just be honest. Okay? Yeah, baby crab yellow, baby food, whatever. This is my go-to smallmouth bait on a river right here. This color in this tube right here, and it can be this size. This is about 1 inch size. I'll go all the way up to the 2 inch depending on the depth of the water, how much water we've got in the river. Now I'll tell you the size of the bait and the color of the bait is all based off of how the water's moving. Is it fast moving? Is it stained? The darker the stain or the darker the water, the darker the bait. Let's just be honest. The darker the sky, the darker the buzz bait. And I'll use a buzz bait as a good example, okay? And I'm going to show you why I picked the black one for today, okay? So these tubes right here, absolutely phenomenal. Now you'll ask, what type of rig can I put this tube on? I can put this tube on just about any type of hook or any type of weight you can think of. Tubes are so versatile with what type of jig head you want to use or any type of bait you want to use, period. I have used on my 2-inch tube Texas rig. I have literally Texas rigged a 2-inch tube and caught fish. I put them on big half-ounce jig heads, quarter-ounce jig heads. Matter of fact, I have some jig heads here I brought for a specific reason. So a long time ago, hell, it's probably been 10 years ago now, me and a couple buddies pitched in some money, and we decided that we wanted to get on Jan's Netcraft. Anybody make their own baits? You can get on NetBait or Jan's Netcraft. Okay? Jan's Netcraft is a company that builds or sells blanks for crankbaits. They sell molds for weights, hooks, all kinds of stuff. And you can buy good hooks through that company. So we bought a bunch of weight. We got a bunch of stuff, and we literally went out and we made some of our own jig heads. Okay, we made some of our own because we knew that if you're not pitching in there in the cover and actually catching fish in those, let's see, what do we want to call it? I was talking to a couple guys over here about a little while ago. In that thick cover. How many people are afraid to pitch up into a tree or cables around a dock, anything like that? How many are afraid to do that? Some people are very afraid. Well, guess where the bass are? Your bigger fish are going to be in those areas, even on the river. You start looking at these eddies, and if they got boulders in there, or you got laydowns and trees and stumps for the guys that are fishing the river, you've got to look for those spots. For those of you that do fish the river, you can probably agree that most of your better fish come from laydowns, right? Or some type of structure inside the water. Let's just be honest. I mean, I absolutely love fishing those areas. I'm not going to fish a wide open area that has nothing on it. How many of y'all have watched MLF fishing on TV? How many have watched a FLW series or a Bass Elite Series tournament on TV or seen them? Everybody's probably watched one or two of them, right? And you see these guys that are out there and there's nothing there. They're like 300 yards from a bank. There's nothing there, and you've got an angler out there with a rod fishing. And you're like, what the heck is he doing out in the middle of that deep water? Well, yeah, he might be out there in that deep water, but guess what? There's something in that area that brings the fish to it, i.e. structure. It could be boulders. It could be an old road bed that's got a grass line on it. It can have all kinds of things out there that attract those fish. Well, those type of areas is kind of what I'm talking about with these type of hooks. Okay? I'm not afraid to use these types that I make with my own lead or my own type of weight and my own hooks. I'm not afraid to lose them. I don't want to lose them because I don't want to leave it in Mother Nature. I hate leaving anything in the lake. And what I take is what I bring home. Now, sometimes when you're in 30 foot of water, if you snag something and break it off, you're not getting it back. I got that. The less we can leave in the bottom of the lake or the river, the better. Okay? For conservation reasons. But real simple mold, these things have a little barb that comes up from the lead. I can throw a tube on this right here. Now, definitely it's not going to be weedless. It's not going to be weedless. So you got to really pay attention to what type of structure or cover that you're fishing, depending on the type of technique that you're going to use or hook. Okay, so if you're going to be in that thick cover, you're going to want some type of weedless feature to it, whether it be your little fiberglass or some type of fiber arms on there, or the wire type. He's got some wire type over here. It's just a wire that comes up over the top of the hook, so that when it hits a piece of cover, it's not going to like grab onto the tree. It's going to kind of just glide over the top, and it's still inside the water. Well, if I throw this into a submerged tree, most likely, if I'm not paying attention to where it's at in that tree, this is going to catch on something. So you want something that's going to kind of keep it weedless. If I'm in deeper water and I know my structure is a big boulder down there in 10 foot, 5 foot, 12 foot, 20 foot of water, I will use an exposed hook like this on my tube. Okay? I have no problem doing that. Not at all. So tubes are absolutely phenomenal. I'm telling you, that puke color is a phenomenal color for smallmouth specifically. If I'm fishing for smallmouth, you can guarantee some of that puke or green pumpkin with chartreuse on the back if I'm fishing for smallmouth. All right, so let's talk about the topwater for a second, because I promised you a minute ago that we talked about the buzzbait. Now, some people will say, what is that buzzbait going to do for me on the river? How many of y'all thrown a buzzbait on the river? Raise your hand. Anybody? You caught fish on them? Mm-hmm. That's why you throw a buzzbait on the river, because you catch fish on them. Some people get intimidated by different types of bait. Now, this particular buzzbait, it has a clacker on it. When that comes through the water, not only do you have the sound and the buzz of the blades actually churning in the water, you also have this little metal clacker. So when it comes by, it actually makes a pretty good clunking sound. I'm telling you, it drives bass absolutely insane. And it will trigger a reaction bite, because they look at it and they go, it's not just a buzzbait with that little trend on the top. They look at it and go, what is that noise? Holy crap, I gotta cut that out. It's bothering me. I'm trying to take a nap. So they'll come up and they'll just hammer it. Now, on buzzbaits, a lot of guys will not use a trailer hook on a buzzbait because they think it might get caught up in some of the cover. That's true. Depends. The buzzbait is a little bit different than a spinnerbait because its wire is a little bit longer in the back. Its wire is a little bit longer. So you can get away without using a trailer hook on a buzzbait. I really believe that. This particular buzzbait, I have a trailer hook attached to it. Okay, this is just me. And I will tell you why I have that trailer hook on this particular bait. This bait is black and it's got the clacker. So I use this in dark water, stained, or with wind. Okay? I will use it for that because it's got a darker presentation. Now the reason why I have the trailer hook on there, number one, is to help me catch that bass that hammers it. It gives me something else for it to get snagged onto in its mouth, right? But I will take a trailer. What I like are those single-tailed rubs. Take a 1-inch single-tailed rub. I like white. And I'll put a white grub on the back of a black buzzbait. I'll put a white grub on the back of it. That gives it another little bit presentation. Gives it a little bit more noise, a little bit more movement in the water, and it makes it a little bit longer.